Hello, this is Dramon, going through the whole process of teaching how to create a business requirement prompt for co-piloting with contract staff or any staff for that matter. This is ChatGPT 3.5 that I'm going to use. Everyone doesn't have access to 4. The prompt does really well at 4. Actually, let me show you how 4 would look, just to kind of give you a comparison. And so you have to you don't have to do as much constraint or steering with 4 because it has a reasoning engine built into it. The reasoning engine, I'll talk about in another video, but this is basically how you would do the constraint building. So from here, you will now act as a stack PHP developer. This is basically giving the start of the constraint or the steering prompt, giving a context of who the audience is. Then I give the business requirement, delineating it with a colon. Then I go through the process of saying, starting with the task is. Then I go through the process of giving additional steering instructions, which is ask me follow-up questions for further clarity, so letting you know there will be a dialogue, and then providing logs so that it knows it can be ready to receive that information. And so let's go ahead and enter. And again, this is ChatGPT 4. So as you can see, ChatGPT is 4. Can go through the whole process of doing the reasoning, and at that level it goes through and it's understanding how each part of this plugin will have to work for WordPress, and then it's coding out the plugin as far as creating the plugin infrastructure, creating the different methods or functions in PHP for this to work, describing what they do. Again, the context is I'm the developer that will be developing alongside it. So it's coding out all the different aspects of this system. And again, we'll be able to compare with 3.5 how this works a little bit differently. And of course, as I said, this is going to be a 30% gain in efficiency for the developer, for your development team, by giving co-piloting prompt requirements, business requirements. That way, the knowledgeable person running this, and it's going to ask for continue, but the knowledgeable person running this, they get a jump start on how the requirement should be actually implemented, as well as they can go back and forth, almost like a business requirement analyst. ChatGPT 4 is the business requirement analyst, and they can come back and forth and ask those questions, and then copy and paste and create the end result, implement it, and see if the results are there. So again, this is basically what it would look like in ChatGPT 4. So let's take the same requirement, put it in ChatGPT 3.5. 4, I just want to note, you have to have a paid account for that. If you don't have a paid account, that's fine. You will now act, so we have to change the prompt just a little bit because 3.5 doesn't have the reasoning engine, 4 does. So you have to add the reasoning here. So instead of just saying please begin, the same prompt like you just saw me copy and paste, this time we're going to say please begin with code samples to begin guiding me as verbose. Alright, so as you can see, I gave it further instruction because this is 3.5. Please begin with code samples to begin to guide me. Let me take that out. To guide me on development. Be as verbose as possible with the the code to teach me. All right, so here we go. So we're pretty much getting the same results before on 3.5, but like I said, you have to add a little bit more reasoning, and it's faster. As you can see, it's going through, and I added more verboseness here, but it's not finished. And so we go through the whole process of spitting out the code, and it's templating or scaffolding, I call it, to or studying out, depending on if your Java background. And this is the basic core samples, and this gets the developer started pretty rapidly. So I just wanted to give a quick example of how quickly this can work. I'm calling it Copilot business requirement prompts. Maybe I can shrink it down a little bit, but this really helps out when you're working with developers or contractors. So it kind of, again, you get an opportunity to shrink the number of prompts or the workflow, as well as you make your workflow more efficient. You don't need as many people if you know how to prompt correctly, and you can get a lot more done. So just wanted to share that. The difference between 3.5 is you need a little bit more reasoning. 4, it has a reasoning engine built into it, which means it can predict the concept, predict if you're doing deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, or inference. And then from there, it can predict what the judgment should be, and then using the LLM based underneath of it, decide what needs to be said from there. So 4 is much more, it's a different stack actually than 3.5, but you can get similar results. As you can see, this is 3.5, as you can see at the top, and this is 4. So 4 didn't give us much information because I didn't ask to be as verbose, but that's it. Thank you, and let me know if you have any questions.